Hello, everyone. I'm Alex Salvo, Director of Business Development here at Lane Gorman Truitt. So thanks so much for joining today. Now I'd like to introduce you to Charlie Poe from 728 Group. As a coach and founder of 728 Group, Charlie serves as high-performing entrepreneur. He serves high-performing entrepreneurs and executives to help their companies and their teams drive results beyond what they thought possible. More than just a coach, Charlie serves as a strategic thought partner, helping leaders step fully into their role as vision setters, culture shapers, and drivers through high performance. Hi, Charlie. Thanks so much for taking some time.
Oh, Alex, thank you so much for having me, and so great to see you. I just want to quickly say, we already kind of said this backstage. I think it's just worth saying again that today's just a day of vision realized. I love it when two minds come together. We talk about something, and then it actually happens. It's kind of like a cool thing. We've been talking about this for a few months ago, so just these are always just exciting moments for me. Thrilled
I
to be
know.
here today. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For a couple months back, we met for coffee, and I was like, "It's so cool to be on a webinar. In fact, LGT has one coming up. Let's do this." So,
Let's roll. Yeah, yeah.
we in the energy train for it. So I'm super excited. We're gonna have some really great conversations. So just to kind of give
Totally.
everybody a little bit of background, before joining Amazing LGT, I was in executive search for accounting and finance, and I placed some incredibly talented executives. They were technically savvy. They handled some crazy, crazy projects. That is, beyond my depth. But one of the big things was that leadership, that team development, the leadership style. How do you build a team? Because you can't, as a CFO or controller or a CEO, you can't just do it all by yourself. You have to have high performing teams to have a high performing company. And so those kind of soft skills and that coaching, whenever you were telling me about like the foundation of you guys, I was just like, gosh, this is so great for anybody who is a professional or working really or wants to be in a leadership position to experience. So I just think it'd be a fantastic topic. So like, can you tell me some more about 728 Group and kind of what your foundational framework is?
Yeah, for sure. And I think what's beautiful about this, Alex, is like the the principles are so universal, right? And as much as they can apply to these skills, as much as they apply to business and how we lead teams and we lead ourselves, like this applies practically anywhere. So if you're
Yeah.
parts of other organizations, nonprofits, I don't know how many people are parents in the room, but these same strategy and techniques, it's all about performance, right? So what is your performance like as a parent, and how are you leading kids in your family and the family unit, right? Like it's so universally applicable, right? And so I just want to quickly share with you really the triad that's the basis of everything, of every single piece of work in our firm. And I, s- I don't know if can people see the slides? I see a second version of my face. So I just want to check in with our production team to make sure that they can actually see the visual I'm about to reference here. Um, if not, I'll keep going, but so I'll just keep going for now, but I just want to make note of that. Maybe I'm seeing something different, but here we go.
We'll
So
let them
really
work
the
on it.
three, say again, don't worry about it. Great.
Yeah,
Oh,
don't worry
we
about
got
it.
all right, no slides in the chat, not working yet. Great. They're working on it. Cool. But we're gonna roll. So if you can imagine in your brain, if there's a tripod or a triangle or a triad that we work with, right? And so the three things that we pay attention to when we're working with any type of client, whether it's a 100 to 1,000 person company, whether it's a small shop, 10 employees or less, or even in our executive coaching practice, where we're working one-on-one with people, everything is grounded into kind of this triad, right? And so the three words I'd like for everyone to capture real quick are vision, mindset, and strategy. So vision, mindset, and strategy. And so at any given moment, um, there it
Oh,
is.
there we go.
We have vision, mindset, and strategy, right? And so we're working in one of these three areas with a client. And sometimes there's not brick walls between them, right? So we're probably blending between them as well. And so if we can define these real quick, but really my hope with you today, Alex, is that we kind of touch on this triad, right? And just kind of give an overall view of these. But vision, we would invite, is a clear picture of the future that justifies the pain of transformation, or even ignites passion, or like gets you excited about it. So we find that like both individuals and organizations have to have that clear picture of the future, super well defined in high definition. Um, and that's really what we anchor into. It's like, what is it? What's the target? What's the goal? What is it that we're going after? And time again, what I find, both in individuals and organizations, is that most people don't actually know what they want, or they have a general idea of what they want, but they have not laid it out in super specific terms. And one of my favorite things to say about this is what happens in vagueness stays in vagueness. Like, so like if you don't clearly define the vision and what exactly it is that you want, well, like it's gonna be it's really, really hard to build strategy towards something that's vague. It's difficult to like define a good mindset around something that's vague. And so for all of us, everything starts with the vision. So we'll go touch on that in a second. Yeah.
And that's like the mission, like even in military, right? In the military, it's what's the mission, right? So
Totally, right?
what's the end goal and how do we do that? So you have to put the mindset involved in the strategy side of it. So yeah, definitely. I can totally see that.
Yeah, the objective has to be perfectly clear. Like we know, and also like I would even say this, like a lot of times vision, like it's so vague that we don't actually have a clear definition of when we've arrived there, right? And sort of so like in working with our clients and even amongst our team, it's like we know exactly what the objective is. We know exactly what it like. Can we give like a thumbs up or a thumbs down when the thing has happened or not? And so that's a great litmus test for, is this a clear vision and around the future, right? So we can dive into that a little bit more in a second, and how valuable and resourceful this is when it comes to leading teams. Mindset is really what we equate to being your beliefs. It's like, what are you believing about your vision? What are you believing about yourself? What are you believing about others? And what are you believing about the world around you? Because really what we know is that your behaviors, or the strategy or things that we do, they all are grounded in what you're believing about a situation, right? Or an event, or what's sort of around surrounding that, right? So we also think that your beliefs and your mindset is super important into how you're approaching a vision and how you're going after it, and also how you're relating to the people around you, right? So that's super important. And then strategy is the third piece of this, which we simply define as a theory. A strategy is nothing more than a theory with clear, defined measurables, and it's our theory about how we're going to get the vision. Okay, so at any given moment with a client, like I said, we're working in one of these three areas, and so we'll just touch on these today in order to give everyone a 30,000-foot view of what this looks like, and provide them some tactical tools in each one, to that people can go back and implement right away, in their office, business, team, or even at home, like we said. So that's awesome.
So when you talk about vision,
Mhm.
how is it clear on the company's vision? Like how specific does it need to be? The company's vision, the leader's vision. I mean, how in the details are we talking here?
The more like, and I am not a super detail oriented guy. I like to fly at 30,000 feet, but really like the more detail, the better, right? And one of the greatest metaphors that we have for this is really kind of thinking about a GPS. Like everybody knows how a GPS works in your car, right? Or even on your iPhone or whatever. It's like you give it point A. It's like you enter a destination and you enter a starting point, and then it will give you directions exactly how to get there. And so we all know, right? The more specific criteria you can enter into the destination field, the better, right? For example, if you put Texas into the destination, like there's a lot like that,
A
like
lot of
incredibly that's incredibly vague, right? Like where is that? Because we all know that Dallas is different than Fort Worth, and like DFW is different than Austin versus San Antonio versus Houston. And we also know that like there's also a place called Texarkana, and there's also a place called El Paso on the other end of the state, which have two toilet, like it's all completely different, right? And
right.
so really the more specific, so like what how does this look in a company? It's like, yeah, like we want to grow. Yeah, okay, cool. It's like saying can you give me directions to Texas, right? And so the more
Right.
clearly you can define exactly what it is, like what is the clear picture of the future? What does it look like when we get there? What are we going to do when we get there? What's it going to be like? And so what we know is that a lot of times, like, you can invite higher levels of performance from a team if they're connected with a picture of the future that's worth going after, right? And so to your point of like, hey, company vision, What does it look like from a leadership perspective? And then also, what does it look like from the vision of those that report to you? And so really every single person in the organization needs to have a vision for themselves. Like, and a great framework that we talk about, especially when it comes to managing, every single leader that I coach, I tell them, like, anyone that reports to you, and then you must know these three things about their vision. You have to know their personal vision, you have to know their professional vision, and you have to know their financial vision. Because if you know these three things about a person, you have like you have a key to unlocking what lights them up, what motivates them, what gets them excited. And
Yeah.
so, I would like anyone on this call right now that leads people, or they have people that report to them, like, are you aware of their vision, which is like the bottom layer here? It's like, what is their vision? And then if you figure out what it is that lights them up and excites them, you have to figure out how to align that with the company vision, right? And your vision was like, how, like, so that way everyone is sort of going after something that excites them. Everyone has a clear picture of the future that is exciting. It's something they're getting passionate, and it's worth becoming who you need to become in order to go get, right? Like, there's sort of a way
Yeah.
that happens. And so if you're not aware of what lights your people up, or if you're not like, then it's going to be incredibly difficult to even like motivate, coach them, give them feedback, all that sort of stuff, because we always say that feedback has to be aligned with their vision of what it is that they want, personally, professionally, and financially. Like, what motivates them, what excites them, and what have you.
It kind of reminds me of sales in a you have to know the motivation, right? I remember back in the day I did like this sales seminar, and
Totally.
there were different closes for different motivations. If somebody was only money motivated, this was the close that we use, right? If they were emotionally motivated, this is the close that we use. If they're motivated by convenience or whatever gets them excited, that's the solution that we put on the table. And so if you're,
That's right.
it's persuasion and getting the train moving. So that's, yeah, I totally can see that for sure.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I think, like, and what's brilliant about this PPF framework, Alex, is like everyone has personal goals, right? If it's personal, professional, financial. So watch, you have personal goals, right? Like, everyone either wants more time with their family, they want more time doing their hobby, they want more time, like, they have some sort of personal pursuit that they're going after, right? They have a professional pursuit, right? They have some sort of professional goal as well, whether they're aware of it or not. And the financial part is the connector. It's the financial is actually the connective tissue, because professional success generally, not for everyone, but generally equates to financial success. And by the way, whatever their personal goals are, there's nothing that money won't make better about their personal goals, right? Like, so it's like, the I actually think that this idea that like some people are money motivated and some people aren't is a total myth. I think everybody's money motivated because money doesn't care. Money is just it's
Cool.
just a vehicle. It's just a tool, right?
Yeah.
Like whatever your personal goals are, whether it's like get married, date, like raise a family, travel, like whatever your personal goals are, there's not a single person, like, name a single personal goal out there that money won't like improve in some manner, right? And it's not that money will make your marriage better, but money would at least allow you to like take a trip with your spouse. Like, it would
Mhm.
invite something that's gonna like at least create a container where the relationship could improve, right? Or
Right.
get better. And so I think that's like, so, and I think this PPF framework is what I encourage all my leaders to use, or like the leaders that I coach, right? Um, we're using them to, like, you should know these things about your team. You just should,
Yeah.
because now you have the key to unlock what excites them, like how to keep them moving and stuff like that. So that's great. We got a poll or a quiz or something. That's cool.
Oh, that's cool.
I like
Uh,
that.
so, okay. So I had this question. So in your experience, what happens to a team's performance when a leader hasn't clarified or communicated that company vision?
Yeah, I mean, again, if we can go back to sort of like, I think travel makes such a great metaphor here, right? Like, if your team is on a boat, right, like, and you haven't clearly defined the destination of where we're meant to sail the boat, then like your team doesn't have a it's like a GPS without an input, or like without a destination. There's like it's practically useless. And so all it does is tell you where you are. Like it doesn't give you an ETA, it doesn't give you
Yeah.
direction, it doesn't, so your team has nothing. There's no like point on the horizon we're navigating towards, right? And here's the really amazing thing about clearly defining a vision for yourself. And actually, one of my favorite John Maxwell quotes is like, you can't lead others until you until you learn how to lead yourself. So like defining this vision for yourself is super important. But all this to say is like, the most amazing thing about clearly defining a vision and saying like, this is where we're going, is
Yeah.
like all of a sudden, every single person on your team that you're leading, they're either going like heck yeah, we're in for that, or heck no, I want no part of that. And like
Uh-huh.
how revealing is that, right? And again, if you're on a boat in the Pacific Ocean, you might say to your team, hey, we're heading for Alaska. And then or you might say, hey, we're heading for Hawaii. Like two totally different destinations. And no problem, we're not going to judge or moralize the destinations, but like again, there's a lot of people that are really up for Alaska, and there's a lot of people who really are not up for Alaska. And then same thing with Hawaii. But what you get from that is you quickly discover who your A players are, because the ones that are going like, yes, I want to go after that. Like, I don't care how long it's going to take. Like, let's trim the sails and let's send the boat there. Let's figure out how to take the boat there. I mean, that's amazing, right? Versus like if you're just a rudderless ship going around in circles in the middle of the Pacific, like you're not really achieving anything. I mean, you're not upsetting anybody either. Um, but I think it's the declaration of where exactly it is that we're going that is, I think, the most important part of the whole thing. And so if you're not clear on what that picture of the future is, like pretty much nothing else can happen. You can't
Yeah.
you like a GPS can't map directions to nowhere. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Nothing will
No, I
happen.
definitely. I did you see though the polls came back? That's cool. That most so we got a lot of leaders here that shoot day by day, shoot from the hip. Okay.
I
I
love
mean, I
that.
guess
I
you
love that.
kind of have to. You definitely have to.
I know I didn't get to see the responses for some reason. Yeah, I
Oh,
missed, but it's
yeah, it
it's
like
cool.
popped up. I was like, oh gosh, I want to
I
listen and
know.
keep talking, but
Shoot,
I'm
that's
ADD.
awesome. Hey, that's all good. All good. Um,
So, well, and then
well, actually, on that note, actually, while we're on vision, like for the lessons, so you said most of the responses were I'm shooting from the hip and taking it day by day.
taking it day by day.
Yeah, perfect. So I would even invite, like, if that's you, what is your vision for how you want to be as a leader? Like, what's your vision for that? And a lot of times a question we invite our executives into is like, hey, like, how do you want your team to experience you? Or like, what experience do you want? Like, how do you want them to experience you? What's your vision for that? And just opening up the resource of like, wow, what does that look like? And who would I need to be to become that person? Sort of invites like this transformation into becoming the leader. But that's again like, if you don't have a vision for the leader you want, the type of leader you want to be, like you're the rudderless ship. Sorry,
And
but
yeah,
like you're the
well,
rudderless ship in the Pacific.
and
Like,
something else we had talked about too was like the strengths of knowing your strength. And something I even would coach clients on when I was in executive search, I would coach the CFOs who were building out their teams and saying, what kind of leader are you? Because you have to know if you can coach them and share the vision. And, are you a motivator? Are you kind of
right.
more of a, let's put fires out that day? Or, is it more of a vision? So, no, I totally see that. But I think being aware of your strength is a huge aspect as well that you and I had definitely talked about a boatload as well. So,
Oh yeah,
um,
yeah, absolutely.
so how what what are things? How can a leader begin to understand or even like shape that? Especially like it's rarely talked about out loud, right? You kind of a lot of times people get thrown into management positions and thrown into these leadership positions. How how can they start to shape it right now with their teams? What are some nuggets of information, or what would you do, right? Let's say you were thrown into a management or executive leadership position right now and you're like, okay, I've got to drive this boat, but I got to figure out, what do you figure out who the crew is? Do you look at the ship? Like what's the next step for them?
Yeah, I mean, I hate, like, again, I think this may be like one of our favorite sayings in the space is that the vision is the boss. I mean, I mean, I hate, at risk of sounding like a broken record here, it's like clearly, like, I want to know what mountain is that we're taking together. Like, I want to know, like, what, like, if I'm reporting to somebody, like, what am I being tasked with? Like, what does success look like? What's the clear picture of success? I need to understand that from like a company or department, and like, and how do I fit within that success? Like, what does that look like? And then from there, I want to understand what success looks like for my team members, right? Like, vision's the boss. Like, I want to know what success looks like for my individual contributors, my direct reports. Like, I want to know, because again, everyone's got different priorities. Like, some people really prioritize their family. Like, I also know people that use work as a way to get away from their family. So like, if their priority is for me to keep them as busy as possible so they don't have to go home to their like marriage that they hate, like, no problem. Like I'm not going to judge or moralize that, but like,
Yeah.
I'm here to help you get your vision.
Hmm.
Like, and how to, and like, and this goes back to the alignment thing, right? Is like, if I help, if they can see that helping the company achieve its vision also helps them get there, and this, I think that connective tissue alone, Alex, like, it creates so much momentum that people don't even, and this is why soft skills gets such a bad rap in a way, because it's like, it's such a soft, like, it is a soft conversation, but it's so tactical and so powerful, because at the end of the day, like, we're human beings, we're not robots. Like, as
Yeah.
much as we try to like be transactional and everything, it's like, it's the relational capital. Like, in my experience, relational capital is by far the most current, like, most valuable currency on the planet. There's nothing like, I mean, you and I are a perfect example of that. Like, we have not, like, I don't think you and I have exchanged a dime of business together yet. Here we are, purely based on relational capital, like, getting to do this thing, like, getting to do something we love together today.
Hmm.
Like, how fun. Like, create value, create relationship, deploy relational capital. The money always follows. Like, that's the other thing I've always found to be true. It's like, but most people try to, like, most people put it the other way around. It's like, I'll do the business first and then have the relationship. It's like, man, if you create cool stuff with cool people, then the cool stuff happens anyways. It's like,
Right. And something too, what was great whenever I was interviewing at LGT, something that leadership had done is they had really dug into what motivated me. What do you want to do?
yeah,
Do you love cold calling? Do you love public
yeah,
speaking? Do you love XYZ? I mean, they really did dig into it, and they've been able to shape, because as long as that end mission was aligned, right? The mission is new clients, new business, get the name of LGT out there, but we want this to be kind of the you we want you to push towards your strengths. And so with that, we've been able to really have some exciting things happen, and but because it's exactly what you said, our mission, the end mission is the same, but what was the motivation and what's the strategy behind it? So it all kind of comes into that framework. So no, that's perfect. Um, and what about, you had mentioned like laws of, like some like laws of performance
oh
or something?
yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. So and this is kind of pivoting into mindset a little bit, right? So I think, so I guess before we move off of vision, like, let's just put a bow on that by saying, like, vision, like, a lot of times, like, the simple question of what's the vision, just deploy that question everywhere. Like, like, everywhere in your business, everywhere in your organization, everywhere in your life. Like, a lot of times, like, if the simple, like, alignment around what is it that we're going after, what, like, first of all, for you, what am I going after? But then a conversation with an employee, with someone you report to, with a direct report of yours, is like, what are we going after together? What game are we playing together? Like, what is a clear picture that would define success? And that can be as big as like annual 3-year and 10-year goals. That can be as little as like, what does success in this 45-minute meeting look like for us? What does that look like? Right. And so, at the end of these 45 minutes together, what will it look like for us to say that this was like the best 45 minutes we've ever spent? And so that's really where, like, what's the vision? What's the vision? And it, like, just encourage people to align on that first, because then everything else tends to sort itself out. Like, what strategy to use and things like that is like, so just always reconnect with the vision. It's like, you can, um reconnecting with the vision is always one of the most important things you can do. So, pivoting to mindset, right? Mindset, right? We would equate to being like beliefs, or what are you believing about a vision? What are you believing about yourself? What are you believing about your team? And so there are two big challenges that I would actually want to point people in the direction of, just like as we kind of, as sort of like a warm up heading into this mindset thing, right? And so if you guys can capture this, when it comes to human performance, most people vastly underestimate what they're capable of, right? We have a tendency to like, and it's a survival mechanism, right? Like we're hardwired to like get smaller and protect, right? That's how we, that's part of like how we're, our instinctual programming as humans. But so like every person tends to underestimate what they're capable of. And then conversely, like, or, and then not conversely, simultaneously, we also underestimate the resource we have available to us, right? And these are all just beliefs, right? If you're believing a certain thing about yourself, or you're believing like resources that you have, and that's also has to do with your team, right? Like we vastly underestimate what our teams are capable of, and we underestimate, and our teams underestimate the resources that they have available to them. So there's like there's a lot of underestimation here, and it all starts with belief, right?
Mhm.
And so I actually want to, so if we talk about speaking about the laws of performance, there's three of them, and I don't know that we'll get up to all three today, but this is like one of my clients, some of our clients have found this to be extremely useful. Um, but the first law of performance says that everyone behaves and performs according to how the world occurs to them, not how it actually is.
Mhm.
Okay. And so as a simple example, right? Like, so there's an event, right? And there is a like, but and then everyone has their interpretation or their story about the event. So and like, so I love this picture, right? Like, so um, and I would actually, I wish there was a way to, I don't know if we can do a quick poll on this or not, but if you look at this image, studio audience, do you see a candlestick or do you see two faces?
I saw two faces.
Okay, okay, great. So Alex saw two faces first. So you guys can all make that judgment for yourself, right? I saw the candlestick. So between me and Alex, who's right?
We're both right.
No, yeah, fast, yeah, like right. You see that? So like, okay, cool, right? Like, so you can see, but then now that I've revealed both, but now you can see that someone chatted in here. Oh, so I guess we can invite them to chat. That's awesome, cool.
Yeah.
I'll know that moving forward. But right, so here's the thing, right? Is like, is that we both stories can be true. So like, if everything, so back to the law, everyone behaves and performs according to how the world occurs to them, not how it actually is, right? And so um so if everything's happening in occurrence, then like when there's disagreement on your team or someone's bringing you a like, and by the way, other words for occurrence might be story, might be interpretation, might be filter or lens, like this is, or paradigm, like this is their view of how
Yeah.
these events have unfolded, right? And so what's fascinating about this, right, is like um if like, gosh, I'm a Star Wars nerd, right? But I think if you go back to like super OG Star Wars before Disney bought it, it's like there's a New Hope where Darth Vader blows up Princess Leia's whole home planet of Alderaan, right? Like, so there's the event, like this planet was detonated, right? Darth Vader's occurrence of this event is very different than Princess Leia's. Like, this is a super tragic thing for her. This is like a necessary move that he had to make to continue conquering the galaxy, right? And so, but it's the same event. It's all about like, but it's all about occurrence, right? And so this is, so I think if like, so I had a client a few weeks ago. He's like, gosh, this thing is so, he's like, what I am asking my people to do is so stinking simple, like that I can't understand why they're not getting this thing done, right? And I think we've all had that frustration before, right? I'm sure, right? And but simply inviting him into like the statement of as it occurs to you, like I said, Adam, as it occurs to you, this is really simple, but their occurrence may be different. Like this might be one of the most difficult things that they've ever, like that could be how they're relating to this, right?
Right.
And like no problem, but that simple upgrade, all of a sudden, I think what's, instead of saying this is how it is and nothing can be different, the simple upgrade of saying, hey, how am I relating to this? How might they be relating to this? All of a sudden, like we can, like there's a lot of mobility in changing occurrence instead of like it is what it is and there's nothing we can do about it. If
Mhm.
that makes sense. So there's another question That's great. These are so fun. It's like pop-ups. It's doing great for my, it's doing great for the ADHD here. At any rate, but like, but all this to say, right? It's like one of the other things I love, a more simple way of saying the first law of performance is that everyone is acting the way that makes perfect sense to them,
Yeah.
which I found to be like, it gave me like a ton of peace. I'm like, oh yeah, like that makes perfect sense to me. And not to get political, but like Trump voters make perfect sense. Like who they voted for makes perfect sense to them. Kamala voters, like it makes perfect sense to them. Like everyone is acting and behaving in a way that makes perfect sense to them, right? And like, and how fascinating, right? Because like, if you even look at that for a second, people are like that refuse to like on both sides. I think like
Yeah.
there's like a refusal to see what the other person's occurrence could be, or what their
Yeah.
view might be, or what their story is like. But
Right.
and so that can be our political climate. But I'm saying, but if we take it back to where we have a little more control inside of our businesses, inside of our organizations and companies, like just the like, huh, like whatever thing that person is doing that seems like totally like crazy and asinine to me, like it makes perfect, how they're behaving makes perfect sense to them right now. So if you can
Yeah.
like get clear about what that is, now all of a sudden like you're like, oh, like interesting, like, and it even invites like curiosity, Alex, of like, like, can I check in real quick, like how are you thinking about this right now, like what like how are you relating to this task, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so like this is improve trust, create more accountability, free up my time, build the team from scratch. All right, improving trust. Yeah, great. So like, so this is where things can start, is like, is hey, like
Well,
there's no absolutes, right? Like it's like everything is happening in occurrence. It's all like
mhm.
whatever story, whatever it is we're believing about something is how it is, like, but there's no absolutes here. And if you're willing to like change occurrence with your team, or like invite your team to change occurrence, or tell themselves a different story about something, now the sky's the limit. I mean, it's pretty
Right.
like you're unlocking a different level of performance if you're committed to that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Um, and on the building trust side, which was a big part of it, I think getting aligned with mindset. If you, as a leader, I would say, if you sit down and you talk about, hey, I'm asking this of you, but this isn't being delivered. Why is that? Where's the difficulty come in? How can I help you get to this point? Where do you feel like your skill set might not match where we are? What are your skill sets to help us get this end result done? I think that does help build trust, in the sense that you're not just like, this is what needs to be done, you need to do it, or this. It's
Yeah.
more of diving in and having that conversation with your leader, or I'm sorry, with your team, and really digging into what it is that motivates them, scares them. Um, but so yeah.
Well,
Now
and I think you have an, I just want to, on this trust thing, I think this is really important, because the second law of performance actually touches on this, because I think and what I mean by that is like you talk about scares, fears, like, and how people might be relating something. You can tell how like the story a person has about something based on the language that they use. So we actually like, so paying attention to how a person is talking about something can tell you exactly how they're relating to it, or the story that they have about it, or how it's occurring to them, right? And here's a really simple filter that I like, that you can add to your ears in the way that you listen to your people, um, that will tell you how they're relating to stuff, right? And so all occurrence is rooted in language. And so the two major types of language, and we don't have a slide for this, so write this down, you guys, is like people are either telling their story using empowered language, or they're using their storytelling disempowered language. And so disempowered language looks like I can't, I won't, I don't know how, like,
I haven't
or
been able
and
to.
yeah, or like oftentimes there's a disempowering story about like market conditions, like political environment, geopolitical environment, tariffs. Like there's a whole list of things over here. It's like, yeah, I'd be successful, but then they're super committed to the story of what, like, here's all the reasons why these things aren't happening. And the funny thing about disempowering language is it literally gives up your power. Like you're
Mm,
like, which is like there is a winning strategy to that, because you get to feel great by having a story about why it's not your fault. Okay.
right.
On the flip side of this language is the empowering language, where it's like, hey, I'm committed, I'll get it done, I'll figure it out, like we'll make it happen. And so you can really be super clear, like, and just that one simple filter will help you to understand how your team is relating to things. But even more importantly, pay attention to the language that you're using. Like,
Yes.
apply this filter to yourself and watch the words coming out of your mouth. Like, what are you
Yes.
like? Where are you giving away your power, your agency, your decision making power to external circumstances? And where, like, frankly, it's just a lie.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lie. Like, like, again, most people underestimate the resource that they have available to them, which I think is super
Yep.
important.
And
Um,
when
yeah,
I
go
would
ahead.
when I would interview candidates in the past, that was, and not just me, the feedback I would get from these hiring managers, they would say, the answers would be something like, well, I was never given the resources to do, but why are you looking to leave? I'm not given the resources to do this. I'm not, my leader isn't leading me the way I need to be led. The things like this, versus the candidate who would come in and say, I was able to accomplish X, Y, and Z, and those are my strengths, and I've been able to grow in this area, and
Mhm.
I'm looking to continue to grow in that area. Those frameworks, the way that you're talking about framing, even just why are you looking to leave for,
Yeah.
and anything, whether you, a lot of you I saw on there too, you're looking to rebuild your teams from, rebuilding your team. So when you're talking to new team members that could come on, those are things to pay attention to even. But
Yeah.
again, it's always easy to hear it from somebody else. But Charlie, even on mine, your one-on-one that you were able to give me, you had called me out. There were some things where I'm like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do this, but like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to do that till next year. And you're like, that's limited. That's a limited mindset, Alex. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
it
maybe.
is.
And like, and I think, well, and like, here's the headline to double click on. And that, like, and look, if you guys take nothing else away from this hour of listening out, looking at Alex and I, know this, is that your brain has a superpower. And your brain's number one job is to be right.
Mhm.
Its number one job is to be right, and its number one job is to justify everything. And like, you're literally hardwired for this, right? Like, we are reasoning creatures, and as survivalists in the wild, like, we have to come up with stories for everything, right? But the stories come from whatever it is that you're believing, and that's why this mindset thing is so important.
Mhm.
Because like your beliefs, like, or your behaviors and what you do in the world float on a sea of beliefs. And so what I want to point out here, though, is like, notice that, like, you don't have to justify or be right necessarily about truth. Like, you could be lying to yourself and super committed to the story of this, the example you pointed out earlier about someone complaining about, like, well, I wasn't successful because I wasn't given the resources to be successful. Like, really? Like,
Mhm.
real, like, but that, like, notice, like, is that even remotely close to true? Like,
Right.
I'm sorry, you have to be given resources to be successful.
Yeah.
Like, you like, notice the disempowered language. Notice, like,
Lack
but
of
they're super,
accountability.
lack of accountability, and but most importantly is like, the belief is driving the behavior. The
Right.
belief is driving the behavior. So we don't have time for the third slide, or third law
Okay.
of performance,
Yeah.
but I want to show real quick be do
Yeah.
have, because it's like, who must I be, like, what am I believing? Because your beliefs drive your behaviors, which is what you do. That's the strategy. And then what you do drives your results, which is what you have. So it's it's be do have. It's
Mhm.
like, what your beliefs drive your behaviors, and behaviors drive your results. And so a lot of times, like, if you don't change your beliefs, then your behaviors can't change, and and it's the repetition of the behaviors and the strategy that gets you to the results. And so, like, again, pay super close attention to how you're relating to things. Like, what stories or what occurrence do you have around things? Like, what is your team, like, how is your team relating to stuff? What stories do they have around this stuff? Because, like, everyone wants results at the end of the day. Like, that's what most people want in business. Like, and that's what most people want out of life, is they want this picture, this vision. They want this. We want this result this year. We want the company to grow 20%. We want this department to grow 30%. We know what results we want, and we try to attack it with strategy. But if like, but I'm telling you that and this was the discovery I came across this a couple of years ago. I was like, oh my gosh, like if the beliefs aren't like if the belief isn't there, or the stories that we're having about the resources we have available to us, like then like the strategy can't even flourish in a way. So this
Right.
is just pay attention to what people are believing, and like,
Mm-hmm.
and how are they
Right.
lying to themselves? How are you
Yeah.
lying to yourself? Like this is like,
Yeah.
and I thank you for sharing that, because I think that's like, it wasn't necessarily that you had a negative mindset, Alex. It was just like we found some ways that you were lying to yourself. You
Yeah,
know,
for sure,
it's
for
so
sure.
it's so good. That's awesome. Yeah.
Well,
All right.
and
So we're
so I know
sorry. Go ahead.
we wanted to get, there were a couple questions you were pretty excited about that had come in
Yeah.
beforehand. And if there's one in particular that you wanted to touch on, we can. But I think these, I mean, these are fantastic. Even and obviously, and guys, anybody listening, please, if you have anything that you want him to touch on, throw it in the chat. And after we tackle maybe one or two of these, hopefully we can have some time to where he can
Yeah.
speak to you directly on kind of where that would be for you. So, or some
And
solutions for
actually,
you.
while we're dropping some questions, I do want to, like, since so many people wanted to hear about building trust, the last thing I want to take 3 minutes on integrity for a second, if that's cool.
Yeah.
So what we find, and so there's this fabulous article about integrity. In fact, um, we'll figure out a way to get you guys this article. We'll talk about that in a minute. But really, like, there's a lot of ways that people define integrity, and there's two definitions of integrity. The first definition is like sort of around like morals and like what is right, what is wrong, what is good. Like, and people are from like, are you a person of integrity, right? And so there's the moral definition of integrity. The second definition of integrity that most people are less aware of but are still familiar with is this idea of structural integrity, or the idea of workability, or like basically, does the thing do that which it's designed to do? And so many people think of structural integrity when it comes to bridges, and architects talk about structural integrity all the time, right? Like, will the bridge bear the weight of the train? Okay. And so what I invite leaders to do with themselves and with their teams is to check on the integrity of your word. This is where trust gets built, is like, do you keep your word? Okay. Like, and so here's a fun game to play. And we'll just play this in the chat real quick. So when you give your word, so to the studio audience, when you give your word to someone else, when you say, I will be there, I will do this thing, it will be done by this date, how likely is it that you keep your word, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I never keep my word to others, and 10 being I always keep my word to others? So just drop a number in the chat real quick if you don't mind. Good. So I see some nines. 9. Thank you. 10. Oh, we got a perfectionist in there. Thank you. I'd like to meet you. Never made a mistake in your life, huh? You'd be great for coaching. You should sign up. Okay. And then 8 or 9. That's awesome. All right. Now the second question, and here's the other really important one. On a scale of 1 to 10, when you make a promise to yourself, when you give your word to yourself, when you any broken New Year's resolutions in the room today, right? So like, pay attention to those. And at any time, like scale 1 to 10, same question. So drop those numbers in the chat right now. 1 being I never keep my word to myself. Here we go. 3, 5, 4, 7, 6, 5, 7, 8, 7. Right? I've yet to see a 9, 2, 3, 5, 5. Okay. So just notice this, right? And again, one of the things that we love about the coaching space is we don't judge it. We notice it and then invite ourselves to upgrade it, right? So like, and the most painful question in this series is like, where would you be if you treated your word to yourself with as much value as you treated your word to others? What if they weren't like 2 different numbers? What if they were just equal? What if it was just an 8 or 9 across the board, right? What would your life look like? And a lot of people say, well, I'd be a hell of a lot richer and a hell of a lot skinnier, which is, but, so there's the joke. Anyway,
like you're quoting our coaching call.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That was the outcome. Yeah. So yeah, at 728 Group, we just make people richer and skinnier and stronger. So yeah, that's all we do here. But all that to say, like, this is where trust gets built though. But trust with others starts with trust yourself. Again, you can only lead others as effectively as you lead yourself. And so, because when you lead yourself and you prove to yourself what you're capable of, then it makes it a heck of a lot easier to invite people into finding out what they're capable of, and saying like, hey, if I can do it, you can do it, right? If I can lead myself, you can lead yourself, and it's a much more dynamic conversation. And getting an organization, so like in our leadership product, like getting an organization to simply pay attention to the things that they've given their word to automatically invites in it, like most people know what to do, they're just not doing it, right? So it's like you just invite people into that something. So hopefully, so we got all kinds of like cool tactics and strategies for how to like increase integrity in an organization. We probably can do a whole separate webinar on that at some point. But
I'll tell you this too. And I'll say this quickly, on our coaching call, you had said something to me, and I think about it when I don't want to go to the gym. I'm not kidding. You had said, because you asked me questions about everything, career goals, love goals, relationship goals, whatever. And you had said, Alex, if you're not showing up for yourself, why would somebody else show up for you? You have to show up for yourself first. And I was just like, so now if I don't want to go to the gym, I'm like, Alex, show up for yourself. Show up for yourself. This isn't even about go get fit, right? It's show up for yourself. It's it's more mental than just a physical goal. It's a mental goal. So I just wanted to say that too, because that was a golden nugget that I just torpedoed my brain whenever
the vision's the boss. Like you have this picture of who you want to be and how you want to show up in the world, and what does future you want you to do?
Right.
She wants you to go to the gym. She's like, and by the way, is she proud of you, Alex? Is she proud of you for going to the gym?
Proud. She's very proud.
Yeah, she's really proud of you.
I want to get to this question because you got super amped up about this question.
Great.
How do you recognize the tipping point as a leader and this was sent in by somebody here. How do you recognize the tipping point as a leader when your empathy and investment in an employee's success must shift into decisive accountability measures, particularly after clearly communicated expectations continue to go unmet? So when do you cut your losses? Is that, I mean.
Perfect. So here's what I love about this question, Alex, is like I'm not even going to answer the question because all the resource, like what I am going to answer the question. Here's how I'm going to answer it though, is not in the way that you think, is that like we said, how this human being, and I don't know who this is. Can we just call this Fred for now? I don't think there's any Freds in the call. Great. So how Fred is relating to this, like the language in the question is so dang revealing, right? Like, look, like, and basically it's like, I can either like hold someone accountable or I can be empathetic, right? Like, or like I can either invest them or hold, or like, and so what I want to unpack as the coach right now is like, wow, like, what is your belief about empathy and accountability? Because right now it sounds like you like and again, I can only look at the words on the page here, but it occurs to me that their occurrence of this is that there's a false dichotomy here. Like, in other words, my thought was like, why can't you be empathetic? Like, why can't you be empathetic and hold them accountable? Can both things not be true? But notice, like, if you're believing that these two things are separate entities and they can't coexist, that's the belief. And notice that the behavior, like, so remember, your behaviors float on a sea of beliefs, and then your behaviors create your results. So like that, this very simple belief of like these two things can't go in the same container leads to the behavior of asking a question like this, like, well, I can eat, like, and so how did their team experience them? Would be my question. Like, how did your team experience you, right? And the other thing, okay, and so that's part one of how I'd explore this. Part two is particularly after communicated expectations continue to go unmet. And I think the original phrase in the question was clearly communicated expectations, right? So notice, first law of performance, clearly communicate expectations as it occurs to you. Like, your occurrence is that you clearly communicated these expectations. Is that how, like, my first question is like, is that how they experienced it? And so your intuition, and so capture this one, guys, like your intuition is a beautiful tool, but don't trust it, test it. Like if you like go test the theory that you clearly communicated this. Like
Mhm.
go ask this person, hey, like tell me what the expectations were here on this project. And like and then shut up and listen with both of your dang ears and both of your dang eyes and watch what happens here, because it's like all of a sudden you might be shocked at the words that pour out of this person's mouth, like, oh, that's not what I meant at all, right? And so Peter Drucker, a lot of people know Peter Drucker, has this fabulous quote, and he says, um, he has the culture eats strategy for breakfast quote. That's what I always love. But the one that I love here is simply like communication doesn't happen when the message is sent. It's when the recipient understands. So I'll
Mhm.
say that again. Communication doesn't happen when the message is sent. Communication happens when the recipient understands. And then there's the old Russian proverb that fits here too, which is trust but verify. Like you're like this person is trusting that the communications and you know we could probably like if we pull them up on stage right now, they'd be like they're probably committed to a story and occurrence. Like I communicated with them clearly. I did it. I did it. I did it. It's like great, no problem. Slow it down. Let's go make sure that's true. Like that's all we
Right.
have to do, because if this is just a communication breakdown, now all of a sudden like we can start changing that person's occurrence. Like,
Right.
and we might find that there's something in the way that you're communicating that's not true, which is what executive coaching is all about. So it's just like
Yeah.
it's fabulous. But notice all the resource
Mhm.
lives right in the wording of the question. I don't even have to
That's,
answer the question, because
yeah.
all we have to do is like we can the person's beliefs are just revealed right here in this beautiful question. It's a beautiful
Mhm.
question. It's
Mhm.
like, it's fantastic. So I just get so excited about this stuff.
No, I
It's
mean, you
freaking
make
great.
great points. Is clearly communicated? Is that what you see, or is that what was heard? I mean, even when I read the quote, I didn't see that.
Yeah, well,
I'm
but
over here like, so when should they cut bait? When do they need to find a new person for the team? You know?
right. Totally. And again, like this, like I'm sure that this person is probably like screaming at their computer. It's like I probably like So this is the beauty of like a more dynamic conversation, right? Is like, can we? It's like I can only read the words on the page and respond to the page. Like I don't have a
Right.
human in front of me to coach right now, no
Yeah.
problem. But that's like this is sort of the stuff that we go after here, because again, like if we just get these little flips in what you're believing, um, and then you get to invite other people on your team into new occurrence, and now all of a sudden we have just a totally different level of performance based on
Yeah.
just changing what like integrity, changing our beliefs, changing like, and then also just making sure we're all centered on the same vision of what we're going after together in the world, which is super great.
Absolutely.
Um,
And I want to give you time too. So by the way, everyone, Charlie has been so gracious and is offering 30-minute express coaching. I'll let you kind of tell a little bit and what they can do if that's something that they're interested in. For anybody
yeah,
who's on this webinar right now.
yeah, perfect. Yeah. So again, we're really grateful to be here with you guys, and we wanted to extend the gift of 30 minutes of complimentary coaching. And so we call this an express session. It's not a full session, but basically you would come to us like, so you book the session if you want a, it's 30 minutes on a simple problem in your business, your organization, or frankly, your life, right? Like we actually believe in coaching whole human beings, right? Which is why we want, like, we believe that performance gets elevated in all areas of your life, not just business. And so that's part of what we go after with our executive clients. At any rate, you can scan the code, or you can go to 728group.com forward slash express. And you guys, and we're only going to leave this open for between now and Friday. So if you want to do this, if you're feeling like this is something you like, hey, you're interested to see what coaching looks like in a more dynamic environment, we'd love to serve you in that way. So you go to the website, book the call. It's only 30 minutes, but show up with some like what we call max value. So like what's a problem that would create max value for you in your business or life? Um, and we'll coach around that. We'll figure out like, and then really the bravery that's required here is one of our favorite questions to ask is, how are you getting in your own way? So if you want to find out how you're getting in your own way, and Alex, like she shared, was brave enough to like, she was curious and brave enough to like wanting to know how she was getting in her own way on some of the things that she wanted in her business and in her life. So
Mhm.
so that's available to you. If you're not up for coaching with us yet, or at least test driving a coaching experience on the express call, at the same link, you can also get access to the free tools and resources from today's session. I referenced an article on integrity. If you sign up here, we'll make sure that gets delivered to you. That article is fantastic. Every single client that I work with reads that article. Every leader that I work with reads that article. It's the foundation for getting shit done inside your organization. You can also access our newsletter where we deliver free growth and development content on a bi-weekly basis, so you can access that there. And again, would love the opportunity to serve you in a free 30-minute express coaching session where we will tackle one single problem for you. And I think you guys got to see an example of that just in going after that one question. It's like, hey, sometimes the resource that you need is right inside the question you're asking. And really the hallmark of our coaching style is to just interrupt and disrupt the beliefs that you may be having about something. And that might be the way that you're getting in your own way towards your goals and also leading your team towards where you want to go. So that's our free gift to you guys today. We're going to leave this link open until Friday at midnight. Our calendar fills quickly. We got a lot more of these coming up in the next few weeks. So we'll leave it open for you guys but that's our free gift to you. And thanks so much for having us here today.
Yeah, well, thanks so much. Well, I'm so glad that you were able to jump on. You know how my vision on training and coaching. So, I mean, I think that this is great. If you guys, want to just grow in that mindset, I would definitely recommend reaching out, or even reach out to, or make sure you at least add him on LinkedIn. He's always got really cool stuff going on. So, well, cool, Charlie. Well, thank you so much for everything. And you guys, if there's anything else, reach out to him, and hopefully you guys can connect.
Cheers.